testing some of the newest cars on the market. How did Europe's electric vehicle sector perform in the first quarter? Honda revises its EV strategy, and Northvolt could end battery production in June. This is the Automotive Update, presented by AutoVista24. I'm AutoVista24 Special Content Editor Phil Curry, here with the latest headlines and more from AutoVista24 and the wider automotive industry. This week we'll take a look at some of the latest models taken to European roads, driven at a recent all-manufacturer test day. We also delve into the performance of the continent's electric vehicle market and examine some of the biggest news stories of the past 7 days. With me to discuss all this is AutoVista24 journalist Tom Hooker.
Hey Phil, excited to dive into this one.
And it's great to have you here, Tom. We'll start with a discussion around the SMMT test day. This is a big all-manufacturer event where carmakers bring their latest models for journalists to drive around the Millbrook Proving Ground in Bedford in the UK. And for AutoVista24, it helps with our Launch Report series.
So I'm excited to know, Phil, what caught your eye at the event?
One of the first models I drove was the Ford Puma Gen E. This is going to be the subject of an upcoming launch report later this year. It's a proper Ford. It's the first mass-produced battery electric vehicle from the car maker based on an existing passenger car within their range. And that will help it appeal to buyers, especially as it's based on an existing vehicle design as well, albeit with a smooth front grille that harks to the Mustang Mach-E and Capri, keeping the electric vehicle family design still in-house. It offers 233 miles of range with a 43 kilowatt-hour battery, so it's a very efficient car. And it's quite fun to drive as well. It handles well. It soaked up most of the road imperfections at the course nicely. Although I did find the one-pedal mode was a little bit too harsh when lifting off. It felt a bit jarring how it suddenly stopped.
Now, speaking of launch reports, I know you have a piece coming up on the Skoda Elroq. Did you get an opportunity to test that?
I did indeed. I headed over to the Skoda stand and took the Elroq out on the road and alpine hill course at Millbrook. And I found it to be a complete car. It's very stable, it's very comfortable, and it has a good quality about it as well, although some interior materials could be considered a bit less premium than others. It's a medium-sized SUV. That means it faces a lot of competition in the market, and Skoda have therefore brought new styling to the Elroq. It has slim LED headlights and some very sharp lines, which they hope will help it stand out in what is becoming a crowded market. The car has a range of up to 355 miles, with the biggest battery option of 77 kilowatt hours, and overall I was impressed by it.
And I also know that the Leapmotor TO3 was there. That's a small city car I saw launched at the Paris Motor Show, and you can actually find our review of that event in our episode listing wherever you listen to your podcasts. But did you get a chance to drive that?
I did indeed, and I found it a really nice, fun little car to drive. It's definitely aimed for town and city driving, and the ride handling is really comfortable as well. It's soaked up a lot of the road imperfections on the course at Millbrook. And it's very stable as well. It features a 37.3 kilowatt-hour battery, and that's good for 165 miles, which is all you really need if you're using it on town and city. I did have an opportunity to take it out on the high-speed bowl at the event. Its top speed around that bowl was 87 miles an hour, and at that point it did feel a little bit unstable. So it is definitely suited to slower speeds, I would say, rather than long-distance motorway driving, but still a really nice car born out of the partnership between Stellantis and Chinese manufacturer Leapmotor.
And was there anything else, any other models that caught your eye?
I drove quite a lot at the event, but another one that really did catch my eye was the Hyundai Insta. This is a small car battery electric vehicle from Hyundai. It had a really nice interior. It was very sparse. It just had what you needed. No center console as such, but a drinks holder and a small cubby for storage next to the driver's seat. It has a 42 kilowatt-hour battery that gives around 229 miles of range, and it's, again, good for town and city use. I wouldn't recommend it for long-distance motorway journeys purely because it's a bit slow. It carries the weight of the batteries, and that does impact the acceleration and performance somewhat. But overall, It's a nicely designed car, it stands out very well on the road, and I really enjoyed driving it. Now don't forget, you can stay up to date with our Launch Report series by visiting autovista24.com, and while you're there you can sign up for our free daily email bringing our content directly to your inbox. You can also view our Launch Report videos, as well as our webinar discussions and entries into our What Is series on the Autovista24 YouTube channel. Now we've talked about new EVs, and it's time to look back at the performance of Europe's EV market. Tom, this is something you've been examining this week.
It certainly is. It has been a positive start to the market so far in 2025, especially considering that EV registrations fell in 2024. After the first 3 months of the year, the market was up by 20% compared to the same period last year. According to the latest data from EV volumes, this equated to a total of 847,591 units. In particular, March was a strong month for EVs, which enjoyed a 22.3% growth in deliveries.
So what was driving this improvement? Because that is quite an improvement year on year.
Yeah, it was a big increase indeed. Electric vehicle registrations can be broken down into battery electric vehicles, or BEVs, and plug-in hybrids, or PHEVs. When we do this, we can see that BEVs drove this increase, with the technology surging 28% in the first quarter and reaching nearly 579,000 sales. This was the highest ever volume recorded by BEVs in a single quarter. The powertrain also registered more cars in March than in any month since December 2022.
And how have PHEVs performed so far this year?
To be honest, not quite as well. PHEVs suffered declines in January and February, and it was only thanks to an 18.6% improvement in March that the technology was able to manage growth in the first quarter. However, March also marked PHEV's biggest monthly volume increase. However, there was a silver lining for the technology. Like BEVs, March marked the biggest monthly volume since December 2022.
Okay, so away from just powertrains now, I'm interested to know which countries in Europe were contributing to the EV total.
The biggest contributor was Germany, accounting for 20.7% of EV deliveries. The UK was just 1,761 units behind Germany's EV figure, taking a 20.5% share. Now, keep in mind that at the end of last year, the UK narrowly beat Germany to become the highest volume EV market in Europe, so this will certainly be something to keep an eye on. France ranked third with an 11.3% share, while Belgium and the Netherlands closed out the top 5.
Thanks very much, Tom. And if you want to read more about how brands and models performed in the European EV market, then check out both articles on autovista24.com, and I'll leave a link in the show notes. Honda has announced it will reduce its investment in electric cars due to declining demand. Instead, the car maker will focus on full hybrid vehicles, or HEVs, by bringing in new models to meet growth in this area. The Honda global EV sales ratio in 2030 is now expected to fall below the previously announced target of 30%. On the other hand, current market demand for full hybrid models is high. Therefore, Honda will position its HEVs, mostly next-generation models to be introduced to the market in 2027 and beyond, as the powertrain that will play a key role during the transition period towards electrified vehicles. Honda's president, Toshihiro Mibe, highlighted that several factors are leading to the EV slowdown. This includes recent changes in environmental regulations, which have been the premise for widespread adoption of the technology. Battery maker Northvolt, which recently filed for bankruptcy, will stop production at its last remaining factory in northern Sweden at the end of June, if it fails to find a buyer before then, a person familiar with the matter has said. Bloomberg News reports that the plant has been running one production line making cells for truck maker Scania ever since a court-appointed trustee in Sweden put the group's business and assets up for sale in March. However, so far, a buyer has not materialised. If you'd like to explore today's stories in more depth, head to the show notes and click the link to our companion article on Autovista24. A big thanks goes to Tom Hooker for co-starring and co-producing this episode, and additional thanks go to AltaVista 24 editor Tom Gegas and web editor James Roberts. The music was Better Find a Solution Fast by Richard Ames. Thank you for listening to the AltaVista 24 podcast.